Whoa, hello, guys. This show has been scheduled, canceled, and then scheduled again. And here we are.
When it comes down to it, it's like, okay, will I survive? And is there a way I can absolutely make this conversation happen, right? Because there's no way. Has there ever been a time? Has there ever been a time before a direct that we haven't discussed like what's going to be in it? I mean, even up to this point, we've already been discussing that. We've already been saying like, oh, it might be here. Okay, what's going to be included? Is there going to be anything new? How much old stuff? How many ports? And then now it's like it's very real. Like we are like, oh goodness gracious, less than 24 hours away.
Yeah, this is a quick turnaround from announcement to direct. This has happened before, but it's not
This
particularly
is
common.
no. What do you think? What do you mean it's not common?
They usually do a 2-day wait.
I they've done a ton of 1 day waits
I
before
did
too.
say that, but the 2 days heavily outweigh
I
the 1 days.
Where's the data? Have you actually gone in and marked that up? You know?
We can go back. We'll figure it out.
Okay, not terribly important, but it's still like a 24-hour notice. Well, less than 24, more than 24 hours, but a 1 day wait.
And they're
So,
doing it on a Wednesday, which isn't as typical for the standard Nintendo Direct format. They usually do those on
mhm,
Thursdays.
right.
I'm wondering if they're doing it on Wednesday because of Valentine's Day. But they just
That
decided
might
that
be
this
good.
is the time that the information needs to go out, so we're just going to do it on Wednesday.
Or maybe they have a Valentine's Day themed game. Or maybe it's not Valentine's Day themed, but it's about love. And then they can release it. And they're like, hey, look at it's also out on Valentine's Day. And then people go out shopping and they're like, oh, this looks cute.
We're getting comments in the chat asking if you've had a beard before.
If I've had a beard before?
Has Logan always had a beard, says Bruce Man?
I since when?
He says, has Logan always had a beard? Question mark.
Uh no. When I was 2, 3 years old, I definitely didn't have a beard. If it's about like just generally, I generally keep a beard. It's not always this thick though. It's usually a little bit more tame. So
Well, throwing it back to the direct, one of the biggest things, especially in our chat right now, that people are talking about is Super Mario Maker 2, which is heavily
I
rumored to be announced tomorrow.
yeah, I buy that. I buy that. I think it's been enough time. I mean, when did the original Super Mario Maker come out?
2015?
Yeah. And for a game like this, I mean, really it's all about building those assets. And then I mean, how long does a 2D Mario game take to develop in the first place,
And
right?
they've already got the foundation from the original game.
Yeah.
How much do you
So
honestly have to do?
quick turnaround, right? And yeah, so I think that's completely plausible. I think it's a great idea. I don't like one, you have the touchpad, right? So I wonder how like they'll utilize, and it's like, okay, pick it up, you can do it and then put it back in, and or using pointer controls and all these other different things. Maybe they release a stylus that
I could see
works
that happening, yeah.
with the yeah,
That's
because
something
that
that
would be a
we've talked about at length in the past is, how do they handle the input for this game? Because the Wii U had the
mhm.
gamepad, but unfortunately with the Switch, if you're playing on the TV, you don't have that accessible to you.
Yeah, no, and I mean, again, like they just have so many possibilities, and like I think the stylus is still very much like a desired input depending on what you're trying to do on the screen. So I think that would add a lot. I can't imagine what else they could add in terms of like mechanics. Maybe
They're
they add more mechanics that just have never been in a Mario game before, or
one of
maybe
the
ideas they had on the back burner
one of
and
the
just
people in our
bring them in
chat
there.
posted a link to a twit longer that had all of the details in it, supposedly. I took a quick glance at that. I don't think we should talk about that necessarily. We'll let the direct speak for that tomorrow.
Hmm.
But just as a baseline, I think you and I both think that Super Mario Maker 2 will be happening tomorrow. It's not always often that you get all these heavy rumors about a single game coming all at once. Um, but, the spread of misinformation is quite quick on the internet, so who knows?
Yeah. So, I mean, my thing, like, ultimately is like, what, like, if Nintendo has been on fire for the last 2 years, right? You can argue that 2018 might have been disappointing for you personally. Maybe it didn't have the kind of games you wanted. But what Nintendo delivered, pushed the Switch.
Yeah.
They didn't. They're like, oh yeah, we didn't hit our like 20 million goal, right? Or we don't anticipate that we will until we're 17. That's still 17 million in a year,
Yeah, it certainly
right?
doesn't hurt.
And so how do they do this? Well, they fill out the library with things that are going to appeal to a great variety of people. That's why we have a Super Smash Bros. We have a Splatoon, a Legend of Zelda, all these different games, and then the indie support has been amazing. Um, like it's been riding high, and so I feel like you just have to keep rounding out the library, keep finding new ways to kind of push it, because it's not just like, a console for one person might be, oh, Breath of the Wild. So as long as, oh yeah, if we just get a bunch of Breath of the Wilds, I'll be great, right? But some people wouldn't buy a console just for Breath of the Wild, but some people will buy it for Animal Crossing. There's going to be a ton of people that's going to push the console so far.
For
And then,
sure.
not to mention, we're getting another Pokemon game at the end of the year, like in a mainline one. Oh my goodness gracious! So, I feel like Super Mario Maker, that just fits. That's a missing component of the lineup. It just makes sense. And then it also would make sense to release that game a little later into the life cycle.
Especially
Just
after releasing the Mario U port.
Oh yes. Yeah, after that, and then putting that out there. So I mean, we're at the point where we're over 32 million, units gone.
Yeah, they
Um
can safely release big, heavy-hitting titles that, might take a little bit more development time, feel safe with it, and it also
mhm.
helps drive sales of future consoles.
Yeah.
They're in a nice spot right now as far as that goes.
Mhm. So I think it's great. And so Mario Maker, if it's not there tomorrow, I'm going to feel very ashamed.
Hi, Kenyon in the
I'm
chat.
pretty sure. Uh,
uh, Really quick with Super Mario Maker 2, I imagine that's going to be the big main, hey, look, this is the game for E3 kind of thing. Because
uh,
we
yeah,
we had that with Super Smash Bros. Ultimate last year, where it was revealed in a teaser in a March Nintendo Direct just out of nowhere, and it ended up being the main title for their E3 presentation. I think that's going to
yeah.
happen here again, with a
I'm
end of year target release date.
okay.
That's what I see happening, unless you think
Yeah.
something else is there to fill that gap.
I don't know. It really depends on what's coming out when and what Nintendo's trying to push. Like I'm trying to figure out like, okay, well, how much of a presence is something like Animal Crossing going to have at E3? Like, is it already out at that point?
I
That's a
think
big question.
Animal Crossing is out in the first 6 months.
Okay.
I
Uh
feel really good about that.
but there's also like no guarantees about that, right? So it's
Sure.
still a question in my
I mean, we
mind.
haven't seen any
Um,
gameplay, so it's hard to really say.
right. But it's been so long. It's been so long. I imagine that the development started on the Wii U. I would not be
I agree,
surprised.
and I think the game's done, and I think it's been done for a while, or at least
I would be
done.
interested, or at the very least, they reached a point where they were like, oh, it's like this is finished, but then they were like, yeah, we still got time, and then we can fix all these other things. At least that's I hope the attitude was, right? They're like, oh, we're not releasing this on the Wii U, so that's going to give us a little more time, depending on how that works
I
out.
mean, you remember they did that Animal Crossing Plaza application on
Mhm.
Wii U with all of like the HD models and
They
textures.
had all like we have the assets,
I mean,
guys.
there's Amiibo
We can
Festival too.
even yeah. I was like, okay, we can build a really awful like board game with these assets, and it's gonna look pretty.
Maybe that game came at the decision point when they're like, okay, Animal Crossing is moving to the next system.
Yeah, and then they were like, we still need to throw Animal Crossing on there, guys, because people are gonna be really upset.
Yeah, they set the precedent because of that plaza that they released. But now that we're on
Hmm.
the topic of Animal Crossing, uh, I don't think we're gonna see it tomorrow.
I think you're a liar.
Uh, well, I've got a reason, and you tell me what you think about that.
I just I think I think at the very least we will get um
Taste?
a month. I think we
Oh,
will
like a
find
release
out
window.
a release window, and I think it'll be more specific, but I don't think it'll be the day necessarily.
So
Though I could see them go as far as just saying, "Here's the day."
I'm
Like
not
if it's especially if it's in the first 6 months.
I'm not so sure we'll see Animal Crossing tomorrow. At least maybe not as big of a picture as we want. I think we might get just at the very least a small taste, and that's because in the little blurb that they released with the press release for the Nintendo
Fire
Direct,
Emblem.
they've mentioned specifically Fire Emblem.
That's a point, right? That right there, I'll buy that because I mean they've already shown off that game, and that game, I think will release before Animal Crossing.
Oh, absolutely.
So I think you might be right, but I will say I do think we will see Animal Crossing tomorrow. Like
I hope
I
so.
I just don't. Yeah, like at this point, like the cat's out of the bag, guys. We know it's coming out this year.
And I guess
Like
they
if
do
you
run
don't
the
talk
risk, like
about
if they
it,
don't talk about it, that there will be people upset after the Direct's over.
yeah, like if they want people not upset about this, then they should have already set that, expectation,
You know what?
right?
I got a bold prediction now.
Okay.
So they've done this before, but
Mhm.
what if during the Direct they announce another Direct, maybe for early March, that is dedicated to Animal Crossing, and we get a nice deep dive look?
That might, I think that would fly. I think that might work. Um though it still feel weird to me, and I'm not sure if I think this won't or will or won't happen based on like just what I want to happen. Like that's where I'm at
I
right
know
now.
I'm in the
Like
same place.
I
I
just
absolutely want to see the game tomorrow. Don't get that twisted.
right, and so I'll be like so disappointed. I'm like, no, that can't be it, right? They either tell us, and one of the reasons I think also one of the reasons they might talk about it, if I'm arguing in favor of that, is the fact that man, in the past like month, we have gotten so many little bits and pieces of information. They've standardized like how they talk about the even something like the NES games, right? That doesn't. It's like that. I don't think that stuff's going in a direct anymore.
You
Or at the least, it's like something that's mentioned, and then it's like whatever.
you know what? I kind of agree with you there. They've just been kind of dumping NES title announcements just whenever they feel like it on their Twitter,
Yeah.
as well as a little YouTube video. That said, I guess I'll throw another prediction out here. We can go back to Animal Crossing if we need to, but
Right.
uh, they did during their financial briefing say they were going to introduce some Nintendo Switch Online features to kind of please the more core crowd. And one thing
Yeah.
that I say no about, but it's not for sure. We know that there are additional emulators just sitting there like in the app. I
Oh.
think
Uh huh.
I think they're gonna show us SNES games. I think SNES games will get a launch date.
Brandon.
Uh,
Keep talking. Keep talking.
and one of the games specifically, I think Super Mario All Stars is going to be shown off. That's going to be one of the first games on the platform, to coincide with Super Mario Maker 2, so that people can experience all of the games that the art is derived from.
Oh my god, Brandon. Stop. Stop, Brandon. I need to wake up in the morning, and if I get too hype, I won't be able to get like get to sleep tonight.
This is a predictions discussion, boy.
Why did I agree to this?
I'm making them.
Yeah, man. I think that's feasible because I feel like those aren't far off.
No, it has to be
I,
this year.
they've gotten into the swing of things with the NES games, and I think there will still be more of those to come. I think they're probably just putting a little bit more people like on that kind of stuff. Like they're like making it a little more urgent. Like, guys, we need to get more of these games out. We need to make people like really like, oh wow, that NES online service or that Nintendo Switch like retro title service.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what are they going to do? Like right now it's just NES,
They
Nintendo
they
Entertainment
they
System.
named it that to temper expectations. I guarantee it.
Mhm.
Uh, they could just have an additional app. I think it'd be best to kind of consolidate into one.
Well, absolutely, but I wonder how that branding will change.
Yeah, or I mean, if it'll even change at all, they could honestly just opt not to change the name. It'd be weird, but it's a very
I
Nintendo
mean,
thing
but
to
at the
do.
same time it would work,
It's
right?
still NES,
Like
yeah.
yeah, everything we own from Nintendo is an NES. Every console, it's a Nintendo Entertainment System. It's just like a more generic term.
So we'll address some of the things that I'm seeing here in the chat. Let's see, where was I at? Haze Blaze says, yeah, if we can get fighters, we should be able to get the finale to the Ultimate Ninja Storm series, and then start with Naruto to Boruto Shinobi Strikers. Bandai Namco has been supporting this console really dang well. I wasn't even expecting the Ultimate Ninja Storm trilogy on the system to begin with, so I wouldn't be surprised if they put 4 on there. Um,
Mm-hmm.
don't quote me on this. I think that game runs an Unreal Engine 4, and I believe Switch supports that, right?
Wait, say that again?
The Switch supports Unreal Engine 4, correct?
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
so I don't see that being an issue getting that game on there. So yeah, we could see that. That could be a quick third-party announcement that they could throw in there. Google says they're going to show SNES games, starting with Mario RPG, into a Geno reveal where, well, there you go. That's the best case scenario. That would be nice. I don't expect that at all.
Yeah, it's hard to say what, if anything, we'll see from Smash.
Well, what about
Um,
Joker? We haven't seen any gameplay.
well, that's the one thing. If there's anything, I think it's Joker, right? We talk a little bit more about Joker. Maybe give a release window. Um, that's I could see that. Uh, but I don't know. They kind of operate. I mean, Smash is kind of its own thing. It's so big,
We can't
right?
forget that Piranha Plant was just dropped with no warning, which is very unlike Nintendo, and at least in terms of Super Smash Brothers, they always drummed up the hype with those announcements
It's
before.
but also it's really exciting. They kind of
Yeah,
give
it
you like,
is.
hey guys, February, and then it's like February 1st.
It wasn't even the first yet. It just showed up.
Yeah, it was like, yeah. But also you had to wait until like the first if you wanted to buy it afterwards.
Oh,
So
yeah,
like
to
you
purchase
got it
him.
like yeah, yeah.
One thing we can't forget though is when Joker is revealed, we're gonna see his stage too, which I think is super exciting because we haven't had any
Mhm.
new stages added to the game yet.
Yeah. That'll be interesting because I still don't have much context for Joker.
I
I'll get around to Persona 5 eventually, but
Well, there
oof.
is that Persona event that is happening in March, I want to say, where I believe we'll see Persona 5 announced for Switch. I don't think that's going to
Uh,
happen during this direct.
no, not this direct. Not the direct for it. People are anticipating Animal Crossing. People are anticipating Fire Emblem Three Houses, right? Fire Emblem Three Houses that kind of sets the tone, right?
Hmm.
Um, so there might be some things they omit just based on that fact.
Haze Blaze asks, what about a Legend of Zelda announcement? I do think there's room in this year for maybe a top-down Zelda game, or perhaps a remake. What do you?
It would have to be a top down. I feel like that's just where I'm at.
Yeah,
Otherwise, like give me that wonderful Wind Waker HD port, right?
That has to be coming
So
to Switch. I would be surprised if it didn't
I
happen.
feel like if they bring another thing, like if they port another game, like please just give us that, right? Some things they're just following up. They're like, we're not going to port it. If you want to play it, we'll leave it to the Wii U for a bit. Um, I kind of feel bad for the Wii U.
Yeah, but
All those exclusives. Oh man.
Alex Gibson says, I hope they do a bundle with Wind Waker and Twilight Princess. That'd be a pretty good value.
Yeah,
Uh,
I'm down for that.
and maybe even.
Talking about
Oh, go ahead.
games that released on both on the Wii, talking about the possibility of a Metroid Prime trilogy port.
That rumor's also making the rounds. It has been since
Mhm.
before the Game Awards.
Yeah, I was about to say, like, that's, I mean, because we got that Metroid Prime 4 announcement, and then we're like, well, do we get Metroid Prime 1, 2, and 3?
Bye, Kenyon.
Uh, and then obviously the delay, for
Metroid Prime
Metroid
4.
Prime 4.
I think the
Yeah,
current story is that Metroid Prime Trilogy was slated to be announced at the Game Awards, but they pulled it because of the decision made about Metroid Prime 4.
yeah,
I mean, we can't really say for sure whether that's true, but the rumors about Trilogy have been so strong that I wouldn't be surprised if that was the case.
right.
Uh, I could see that being announced and dropped the same day. If it's not like a substantial like remake, if it's just a port, I think that's a shadow drop.
Oh yeah. I would hope that they would remake it like as they're building the engine for, Metroid Prime 4.
I mean,
That they're taking some of that and applying it
sadly, I mean, we
to
don't know like if they're gonna reuse anything that they did.
right.
So unfortunately, that just
We
might not
might just get
happen.
an upres.
Yeah, I mean, which I'd be okay with. It'll be the first time the game's actually in HD.
Yeah, but at the very same time, like I feel like with so much time, like we got just a port to the Wii U, right?
Right.
Um,
That wasn't even
like
really a port. It was just a like a download version of the Wii version of the game.
right, right. So for this, like man, like they've given care to other games. They spent what 6 months on Wind Waker HD,
Mm-hmm.
and just the little work they did to that game made it like one super prettier. Like it was so much brighter and vibrant, and obviously they added some features. I don't think it's outside the realm of possibilities that they were like, okay, we're planning on Pikmin 4. So how about for practice, we just rebuild the other games, and then really make it like so like, oh, this feels really good with okay, here's Metroid Prime 4. So I'm hopeful that it's a more involved port. It's
Yeah,
an actual remake, a remaster of
that's
sorts.
best case
So
scenario. If that's what Retro's been working on,
I
I'd be okay with that.
yeah, man. I honestly think I don't think it's just gonna be a port. You know, like it's just being like talked about in such a way that it's like this is something that's highly anticipated, and I feel like if they're trying to really hype up 4 and if they're wanting to really push 4 and give people that value while they wait for it, that it's just super important that they were, really gave those games some love, because they haven't really changed, right?
Oh,
They were released and they all kind of look like they're from that era, because one, um, the Wii games didn't look that much better than the GameCube games,
no, and that's because the
So
Wii was basically the GameCube too.
basically the GameCube too. So man, I feel like I might be disappointed if it's just a port. Like Nintendo was like, "Oh yeah, here's the game." I think it would be cool if they did it in such a way where they had a switch that you could like turn on the new graphics or turn off the
Switched to
old
the new version of
graphics.
the game.
Mm-hmm.
We should also say that when Metroid Prime Trilogy was first brought into the world, it was more than just a port because they did add the Wii controls to the first and second games.
Right, right.
I think on the Wii U, just doing a port made sense. Um,
Yes.
because that game was already hard to find.
Oh, right. And everybody was still, we were still fresh off the Wii, you know?
Mm-hmm. And Alex is saying you could do the graphic swap like the Monkey Island remasters. Yeah, that's exactly what we're
I
thinking.
think also the Halo remasters.
The Master Chief Collection? Yeah.
Yeah.
Or maybe, I think it's the Master Chief Collection you can do that.
I know at least the first game.
First game you can.
Yeah.
That's the only one I've ever seen do it.
I'd be surprised if you couldn't do it for the other games as well. Though at a certain point it doesn't really matter, right? Because the first game came out on the Xbox, right? First two came out on the Xbox, and the third one came out on the 360. So a little bit different.
So I don't think we need to talk much about Fire Emblem Three Houses because they talked about that game. We're gonna get to see it. Hopefully, it's a nice hard look at the game. Hopefully, it looks better than it did last time.
I think I don't know that what they were doing with it. I was really excited about.
From a mechanical standpoint, absolutely.
Yes.
There were just some frame rate things and some environmental issues that I didn't quite care for, but we'll see what happens. They did come right off the 3DS, all those years doing handheld games.
Yeah, and now they just man, there's so many people on the screen at once.
Yeah, it's cool. They're taking advantage of the hardware in ways that I didn't expect.
Yeah, they're really upping the scale of the battles, and that's really exciting. Because they've always kind of done that a little bit, right?
Yeah,
but it's just to pushing it up.
In terms of the actual direct, I think we might see Fire Emblem for 8 minutes. 8 minutes worth of the 35 or so that we're getting.
Right, a good chunk of it.
Yeah. There will be a segment that is the Fire Emblem segment. Some other games we need to talk about. One game that was announced last year that I do not think we will see. It's gonna ghost us. It's Luigi's Mansion 3.
I could see that. I could see Luigi's Mansion 3 just kind of going by the wayside for this one.
Putting that in their back pocket, waiting for E3.
Yeah, that's an E3 game right there. That's definitely. I think they'll push that one pretty hard at E3, especially give it a little more time to cook. Looks like they had some polish to do and some things that needed finishing.
Santi caught my joke. It's gonna ghost us.
Catch your joke. Anyway.
Yeah, I don't think we're gonna see Luigi's Mansion 3. That's fine. We know it's coming. It's probably coming out this year. That's okay. Honestly, the look we got at Luigi's Mansion 3 was longer than most of the games that we're talking about today. Like Animal Crossing, we got a still.
Honestly, even the Luigi's Mansion 3, that whole cut felt really off. It kind of just felt like they threw it together.
Yeah, it felt early. It felt a little rushed. It was definitely, hey, we need something big for the show. You guys are far enough along. Let's just throw it in there.
Yeah. People won't be like, oh, yeah, Luigi's Mansion 3 is the best thing ever, right? But it's like, oh, cool.
I'm definitely excited to see more.
I'm definitely excited, yeah.
So moving on from Luigi's Mansion 3, I do think we will see at least one Wii U port come, and I am fairly certain that it's going to be Tokyo Mirage Sessions. I think that's the game that they port next, because that game just kind of showed up on Wii U and didn't really make a splash. So I think it needs a second chance.
That one would be a good one to port in terms of just having giving that game another chance.
Yeah.
Because, there are some new games that released on the Wii U and they did very well. #Splatoon. But, that game was like, oh, cool. It's this, crossover.
I think it's important to do it because at the same time, I think it shares more DNA with the Persona side of the Shin Megami series.
Mm-hmm.
And with Joker on the way, it's just the perfect opportunity to try again.
Yeah, man. I could even see him adding some content, right? So Tokyo Mirage Sessions Deluxe.
English
And then
voice
just
acting
give
this time?
maybe, and then maybe give a little nod to Joker, with a little extra like mission or something like that.
For sure.
I wouldn't put it past him, because I mean they definitely want to sell this and they want to sell more Persona 5 as well.
That game just never had a chance in the West, I don't think. It was on the Wii U, for
No,
one thing.
it was too weird.
And Nintendo has never really had a Persona launch on it, except for the Persona Q series, which is not mainline. And their handheld games, so.
Oh yeah, not Persona. They had Shin Megami Tensei 4 though.
Right, and the Shin Megami Tensei, while being, I think, from what I understand, it's same kind of universe, same general setting,
Right.
but use different series.
Right.
But yeah, I do think that will come next. I'm gonna go ahead and say that's the only Wii U port we see for now. You,
I'm not willing to say that it's even coming, right?
I'm just being bold today.
I'm right, and I am disagreeing with your boldness. As I disagree with those who I feel fit to disagree with.
Do you think we're getting a port?
Yes, but I think where we do agree is there's going to be one. Of all the ones announced, it's just one of them.
What's it gonna be? You have a thought on that? Pikmin 3, maybe?
I feel like Pikmin 3 might be, especially, God, Miyamoto has been talking about Pikmin 4 for how long now?
Which is the third heavily rumored game for this direct.
Right. So I'd be, maybe that's one that just gets dropped, right? Like out of the blue. Like here's a port.
Pikmin 3 available in the eShop today, launching in stores next week
man.
or something.
Yeah, man. I think that would be cool. And then Miyamoto gets to come out, and it's always a spectacle when Miyamoto comes out on camera. So I think that would be really neat.
Alex makes a good point. He said Pikmin 3 did have 2 DLC packs. They could just always include those and slap a deluxe on the logo.
Yep. Yeah,
Easy.
it's another great way. It's like, oh, it's not the same game, guys.
Maybe they could even throw in maybe a couple extra packs for the multiplayer modes.
Mm-hmm.
That would be worth it for me. Also, because I never completed Pikmin 3 on Wii U, because the control setup with the gamepad was very frustrating for me. One of the only Wii U games where I did not like the control scheme. Pikmin 4, I'm just gonna say I don't think it's happening. This is the
I'm more skeptical on.
This is the eternal game that doesn't exist.
Yeah, we're gonna hear about Pikmin 4 like in 2024.
I think the game's being developed. I think it's coming to Switch. Is this a time for it? I don't know. And this is like one of the games on the list here that I really just don't know about.
What if they started developing a Pikmin game and then Miyamoto put too many ideas in it, and then they realized it had to be another game entirely?
And that's when Pikmin got released.
That's when Pikmin 4, that was Pikmin 4, right? But it's just not anymore.
It could be. Alex is guessing that Pikmin 4 comes out a few years away. It's kind of a niche franchise. It's not a priority for them.
Mm-hmm.
Once the Switch has got a few more pieces of hardware out there in the wild, I think they can be a little safer just putting that game out there. I mean, Miyamoto, what is he really doing right now? Because, he's kind of taken that step back for most of these games, for Odyssey and for Breath of the Wild, and those games are out now. So what's he up to? What's he doing?
Yeah, man. I mean, Miyamoto's got other things to do, right? Like he doesn't work on games as much in terms of like how intimate he is with each one.
And he's a fellow in the company, right? He's kind of got that.
He's managing, he's executive producing, he's making sure it's like, okay, I'm asking the hard questions. Like, okay, while you're doing this, like, well, one, is it fun?
Alex says Miyamoto's spending his afternoons with Ubisoft playing with Model R wings.
Oh man. Yeah. So I'm not as confident on that one, but I could see it, right?
Mm-hmm.
we just there's so many questions, so many possibilities. Um
They,
and it's overwhelming just what could be coming. And
I
then not
feel
to
like,
mention
I just feel like Pikmin 4 is the game you announce at E3. They announced Pikmin
uh
3 at E3, and
yeah, I mean they got to save something for E3,
yeah,
right? So I mean maybe that's a big thing, right? Maybe they throw a bunch of stuff together and it's just it's a lot of Pikmin again,
Super
you know?
Mario Maker 2 is the game that you tease for E3. It's the headliner at E3, and then Pikmin 4 is that supplemental, oh, we didn't see that coming game.
Yeah.
I feel like that's the way it's got to go. Haze Blaze says Miyamoto's on holiday with Sakurai. Sakurai, I hope you're taking a nap, man.
So
Speaking of Sakurai.
I have to extend my heart out to the gentleman at Game Explain for a minute. Because every time in like for this direct cycle, every time they've posted something and they do the thumb,
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah.
they've been having a lot of fun with the Captain Falcon stuff.
Oh, yeah.
They've been having a lot of fun with the F-Zero stuff. And so I
Iconic.
don't know who it is, but at the very least, whoever's making the decisions and approving some of these like thumbs, I don't know how exactly how they operate over there,
I think
but
most of
at
them these
least
days are Tom Arnold.
yeah. So it's like everybody's like, yeah, let's keep doing that. Let's just every time there's a direct thing, we're gonna be like, hey, maybe it's F-Zero. Hey, maybe it's F-Zero. So here's my bold
Captain Falcon
prediction.
Space Adventure. John was right.
I think F-Zero is coming this year.
This year.
I think it's happening. I feel like 2019 is the year to
Are you
do it.
saying that we're seeing it tomorrow?
I said I want to believe there's a possibility that we'll see it tomorrow. See, this is where I run into myself, right? Because I'm very much a person who likes to have like concrete evidence it's happening, but then sometimes it ruins the fun because sometimes you just want to throw things out there, and sometimes when you throw things out there, you can get those right, and that feels really good. And also, but at the same time, I believe that you should speak your truth out into the universe, and if it hears you, it can sometimes respond. So here, I'm making this declaration. I think we're seeing it tomorrow. And
Ooh.
I hope I don't look
Oh
like an
boy.
idiot tomorrow. I hope I don't look like an idiot. I'll probably look like an idiot, but I think, man, how long has it been since we've had F-Zero?
2004? F-Zero
15
GX?
years. 15 years. Like, you'd think that they'd have, like, a new idea
2003.
for it. Oh, yeah. So man, you'd think they'd have a new idea for it. If not at this direct, maybe at E3. Maybe that's maybe they have some bigger drops. Maybe two instead of just the one.
Well, let me ask you this then.
I don't know what.
Uh, who's developing it? Is it Nintendo or a third-party company?
That's a good
Throwing
question
that extra layer on you.
because it wasn't GX developed by like
Namco, I want to
Namco.
say.
Yeah. So I mean that's a really good
Oh no, it's
question.
developed by Amusement Vision.
Amusement Vision.
Let me check to see who they are owned by.
Dun,
Sega,
dun,
developed
dun,
by
dun.
they're owned by Sega. Excuse me. Namco developed Star Fox Assault. That's what I was thinking of.
Oh yeah, yeah. Capcom.
Capcom? Wow. Okay. Do they even make racing games?
Yeah, I was like, that's probably the most atypical choice right there. That'd be interesting to see Capcom take a crack at it.
What didn't Nintendo like approach Criterion about doing F-Zero at some point?
Ooh,
But they were busy with a
ooh,
project at the time.
yeah. I don't know. I don't know. That sounds like it might be good, though. Um, I don't know. I don't think it's happening, but I like the idea of that.
Okay.
Especially with like Burnout, man. I love Burnout. Who doesn't love Burnout?
So I guess we should address the elephant in the room being Smash Brothers again. We talked about Joker. Do you think we see the next character? They have 4 more to get through until February 2020. 2020.
Um, hmm. No, no. I think we'll find out the next character just before Joker is released.
Okay,
That's what
I
I'm
think that's a
saying.
fair statement. That's kind of where I sit on this. Um, that just depends on when Joker is coming out.
Yeah,
My guess is March. I don't think he's that far away,
I think that may late March. You know.
which could put the next character releasing in May. At the next character after that being announced at E3, maybe dropping in July.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, Possibly September. It
Yeah.
has to be like a 2 or 3 month rolling cycle in order to get everything out on time.
Right. So I mean, we'll see. Unless they just like drop 3 of them at the very end.
I mean, that's what they did
They
with
just
Smash
like
4 is they dropped them in packs. But
right.
that's seemingly not happening here.
Yeah, it's probably better that they just focus on one at a time.
They
You
must know
know.
exactly their process for this in terms of timing because they gave us February 2020 as a date from the start.
Yeah, they probably have like a system at that point, right? Where they're like, okay, we do this first, we do it for this long,
They had
and then
practice with
we do
Smash 4's
this.
development cycle of
Right.
DLC. Um, yeah, so I think we'll see Joker tomorrow, and I think he's getting targeted for March. And I think they're also going to release Home Run Contest. I'm going to say that at every
I would
single
love
time.
if we got home run contest. I've been talking about this for the last few weeks. Every time I sit down to play, I'm like, where's home run contest? Why can't I hit the bag with the bat that are both in the game? There's a measurement for distance, and I don't have home run contest. What is wrong with this picture? It's all in the game already.
All of it,
They
yeah.
literally just have to like take elements, push them together, and be like,
They need the
here's a new
stadium. That's
menu
about it.
option. Yeah.
Uh,
So
we do
I'd be very disappointed if it doesn't come back.
2 more things. I think
Okay.
we might get a quick additional look at Yoshi. Just a reminder, hey, Yoshi's coming out next month. Um,
Yes.
and then what do you think? Is Bayonetta 3 gonna show up, or are we saving that for E3?
Nope. 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 That one's not coming. Doesn't feel right. We're all anticipating Animal Crossing and Super Mario Maker and maybe Metro. The Metro Prime trilogy works against me, but or maybe not. Maybe they want to keep those 2 announcements apart for the most part, just because. I don't know. I mean, but they could just not go by that logic at all, and they could also just do none of what we're talking about at all, and then we never get Animal Crossing or Pikmin 4, or they actually went back on Fire Emblem Three Houses. Actually, no, I lied. That's the only thing that we're gonna see. It's just gonna be 35 minutes
Fire Emblem Three
of
Houses.
Fire Emblem Three Houses. This is where we're at.
Do you think there's anything we've missed? We've talked about just about everything I can think of.
um, probably.
No
What?
Pokemon. None. No Pokemon. We're talking
Pokemon.
about it. It's not happening.
No, not Pokemon. We have other games to focus on. Pokemon's a not tomorrow game.
Yeah,
So
I don't see that
yeah,
happening.
I mean we are bound to have missed something unless it's just really that unexciting, right?
Hopefully, it's
um,
not. I
the rumors surrounding all this stuff, like people have been talking about how there's unannounced games
the
that
first
we don't
direct
know
of
about.
the year historically has been a pretty exciting one. It was last
It's
year.
gonna be a bop. It's we're gonna get so hyped tomorrow, and we're all not gonna want to go to work or do anything else with our days. But sadly, we will be at work.
Yeah, we can't stream
Uh,
this, guys, and we feel awful about it.
unless a miracle, comes upon me, right, and it's like, hey, you got off work early, get home on time. Or at the very least, I'll be on my phone and I'll be watching it and then I'll be tweeting about it afterwards, right? So at the very least, like, I want to at least watch it
We can
if I
guarantee
can't
one
stream
thing.
it.
Tomorrow night, we will be having a post-direct discussion talking about all the news that's announced.
This is true. This is very true.
We'll probably target like 7:30 for that. 7:30 Central Time. I should specify.
Yeet. I can't wait for the post discussion.
Yeah, I am super excited to see what happens. Any last second predictions before we sign off here?
I can't wait to see Animal Crossing.
I'm crossing my fingers for Animal Crossing. Cross your fingers for Animal Crossing.
I can't believe you wouldn't have faith.
I want it to happen real bad.
We're not friends anymore.
Not see my tweet from like last week.
I don't like you very much.
You're
gonna be the reason we don't see Animal Crossing tomorrow, and I'm gonna hate you for it.
Koizumi comes up on screen. Due to the Nintendo Direct predictions discussion we saw on the Brick Room Arcade, and because of Branded Miracle, we've decided to pull Animal Crossing from today's presentation. All right, guys.
I can see it happening.
Yeah, we're both excited, obviously, for Nintendo Direct tomorrow. Make sure you guys check it out and come back to our channel to hear all of our thoughts on the presentation. If anything changes as far as streaming or reactions to the Direct, we will let you know. But with all that in mind, guys, please subscribe to the channel, like the video if you liked what you saw. Don't break your backs. Break in the games. But for now, break time is over.
Support independent developers.